Welcome to today's episode of 360 Sports. Today we're talking baseball. I'm your host, Gwen Evans, and I'm here with Ethan, Jacob, and Brady. Getting things started, we're going to talk a little bit about Clayton Kershaw, who announced his retirement from the MLB after this season. The former Cy Young and MVP winner finishes with the best career ERA since 1920. Will he join Mariano Rivera as a unanimous Hall of Famer?
Unfortunately not, because it is pretty much impossible to become a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer in the MLB. Mariano Rivera was just an outlier. I mean, there was one person who didn't vote for Ichiro or Derek Jeter, and there were three people who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. when they were on the ballot. And also his 4.49 career postseason ERA is not first ballot Hall of Fame material. He definitely deserves it because he is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, just not unanimous, because there's obviously over 300 MLB media members who vote for the Hall of Fame, and not all of them are going to agree.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled up some percentages. Like Ken Griffey Jr., as you said, 99.3%. Ty Cobb, 98.2%. Hank Aaron, 97.8%. Willie Mays, 94.7%. And Babe Ruth, 95.1%. If Babe Ruth is not a unanimous Hall of Famer, and this is the problem with the Baseball Writers Committee, is they'll look at the Babe Ruth 95.1 figure and like, well, Babe Ruth wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer, then nobody deserves to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. And I'm like, it's such an outdated notion. It needs to die. I really thought we were moving in the right direction with Mariano Rivera there. But yeah, as you mentioned, the playoff success not there for Kershaw, but one of the best pitchers of our generation.
Yeah, kind of just more of the same. Like, I'm glad you mentioned the playoff success, but again, we've had one guy be a unanimous Hall of Fame. Like, there's going to be that one guy no matter what that doesn't vote for him, and it's like, even if he should be, which probably should be, I don't think it'll happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think 100% Hall of Famer, obviously, but, if Ichiro wasn't unanimous, then who will be?
Yeah.
Moving on to a little bit of the playoff picture, the Tigers and the Guardians will play later tonight in a series with massive playoff implications. The team that wins the series could find themselves thrust into the division lead. What team do you think will get it done over the next 3 days?
I think it's Cleveland. I think Cleveland's got all of the momentum right now. My prediction, Cleveland takes 2 out of 3. The Tigers are pitching Tarek Skubal tonight, but he is the only guy in their starting rotation who I feel can even get it done for them anymore. Jack Flaherty leads the American League in losses. He's fallen off this season. So yes, I think Cleveland, I believe they're in Kansas City this weekend. They've got a much easier road than the Tigers, who have to go to Fenway Park to face a very hungry and still hard charging Red Sox team. So I think Cleveland takes the series, takes the division, and completes the biggest blown lead in division history for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and the Tigers, they started off scorching hot this year. I never really thought they were as good as they seemed to be in the first half of the season, but I did not expect this at all. And I do agree with you. I think Cleveland takes 2 out of 3. They're overall the better team, and the fact that they didn't sell too much at the deadline, like hanging on to Stephen Kwan, who was all over the trade rumors around July 31st, was a huge move, and it's paying off for them right now. And something a team like, I don't know, the Arizona Diamondbacks could have learned from, because they would probably be well into that 6th seed right now if they hung on to Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez.
And it's interesting you bring up the trade deadline, because it was around that time that they lost Emmanuel Clase for an indefinite period of time. And ever since then, they've kind of just been winging it at the closer position, but it's been working.
Yeah, everything's been working for Cleveland, and I do think they take 2 out of 3, and they're the overall better team with more experience too in the postseason.
I do think it'll be a close series, though. Like, these are 2 very close teams, and obviously we saw what the Tigers could do at the beginning of the season. My reasoning for thinking that the Guardians will win this series and ultimately win the division is just the Tigers cannot buy a win right now, and Cleveland is like cruising. And I think you said it. I think it's 2-1. Cleveland will come out on top. The one is probably going to be Scooble tonight, which he could throw. He's amazing. And I do think though that if the Tigers do come out on top of this series, they will be the ones to win the division. Like I don't see them winning this and then choking against. I forget who did they play the Rangers after this.
Tigers
Yeah.
play the Red Sox.
Red Sox, my bad. Yeah, I don't see them winning this and then choking against the Red Sox. So I think that whoever wins the series wins the division. It'll be a huge series, though, and very good, close games.
It'll be very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I absolutely agree that whoever wins this should end up winning their division. But I do think that the Tigers could maybe end up taking one. I think it won't be a sweep. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
I think that
I agree.
it'll at least be 2-1. I think that the Tigers, if they truly want to keep their playoff hopes alive, I mean, obviously they need to win this, at least 2 of these games. And I think that this could be a defining moment for the Tigers if they do win this, but I do think that the Guardians will end up taking it.
And I think if they look really bad this series, which you never know what could happen, if either of these teams look really bad this series, that's going to be horrible going into the playoffs when either team makes it. And that could be especially bad for the Tigers. If they get swept, they're done. They're not going to make a playoff then.
They might not even make the playoffs if they get swept.
Right.
Because it's crazy too, because it was a 15.5 game lead for the Tigers. That is insurmountable. The record is 13.5, held by the record for blown lead 13.5 by the 1951 Dodgers. The New York Giants, the New York Giants did used to be a baseball team. They were the Giants were actively cheating. They had a telescope in center field to steal signs. No, this is a real story. You look this up. The Giants were actively cheating. They were the 2017 Astros before the 2017 Astros. You look that up. The Giants had a telescope in center field of their home ballpark, the Polo Grounds, and they went 19-4 down the stretch at home, and 37-7 overall. And 5-0 versus the Dodgers in those home games to force the 3-game playoff shot heard around the world, Bobby Thompson. But yeah,
definitely,
absolutely insane.
All right, following that, a little history lesson. We're going to move on to one of my favorite topics, which is the race for 60. Cal Raleigh currently sits at 58 home runs with 6 games left in the Mariners season. Raleigh now holds the homer record for both catchers and the Mariners. Can he reach 60? And if he does, is it the greatest offensive season by a catcher ever?
I think, yes, he will hit 60, and I'm pretty sure it's already the greatest offensive season from a catcher ever. You look at Salvador Perez in 2021, who I think was the previous greatest offensive season by a catcher. He had 273, 860 OPS, 48 home runs, 121 RBI, and 5.3 WAR. Now, Raleigh, he is hitting only 247, but he's got the 949 OPS. He already has 121 RBIs, and he's got a 6.9 WAR. And you add that with obviously his home run derby champion. He's also pushing to tie Aaron Judge for the AL home run record. So this is already, in my opinion, the greatest offensive season from a catcher in MLB history.
Not to mention he's leading the Mariners. He's probably, especially after the big sweep in Houston this weekend, leading the Mariners to their first division title in 24 years. So, yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made for 2009 Joe Mauer, the 365 batting average and the batting title. But yeah, I think this is easily the offensive benchmark for a catcher. And if you look at his chance for 60 home runs, I think with them, the Mariners lineup to play the Rockies this week, I think he's got a good chance to do it if they don't give him the Aaron Judge treatment and pitch around him. They do play the Dodgers to close out the regular season schedule, but I think he can hit 2 home runs in his next 3 games, even though they're not at Coors Field.
Yeah, I mean, you guys basically said everything I have. If he gets 60, and this is exactly 60, he would be tied for 9th all-time homers in a season. He could very well get more. You never know. He's 3rd right now with 121 RBIs, He could get second. I don't think he can catch up to Schwarber with, I think, 129 right now, but that's still very impressive. The only thing holding him back is his average. But even then, going about 250, especially in today's age when it's just so much harder to hit a baseball, and he's crushing them. He's top 5 in both slug and OPS. Like, by far, I think it's a no-brainer that this is the best offensive season.
Also, I mean, you say 9th all time. You're talking about including people that were not quite on the level, like Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire. They were eating their Wheaties, their balanced breakfast.
Wheaties is a good word for it.
To recontextualize, discounting those players, it's tied for 4th all time. I think is a good mark to note.
It's definitely
Tied for third.
Yes, this is. I mean, I firmly believe that Cal Raleigh will get to 60. He is the MVP in my heart of the AL. I've been a Mariners fan for a very long time, and Cal Raleigh is maybe one of the best things to happen to the Mariners, at least, well, obviously of this decade, but the Mariners offense has really struggled recently, and he has been that solution for the Mariners. He's been amazing. I think he's going to hit 60 just based on the way I've seen him play. Like, when he has hit a slump, it's been brief, and then he's just switched sides, and all of a sudden it's been fixed. And that's the beauty of being a switch hitter.
I mean, we didn't even acknowledge some of the names he's already passed. Most home runs by a switch hitter, passing Mickey Mantle. Yeah. Most home runs by a Mariner, passing Ken Griffey Jr. These are two of the greatest players to ever play the game of baseball.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's had an amazing season. I really hope it translates to a division title for the Mariners. Hopefully not a league championship. I've got other interests, but yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to our board segment, which is Playoff X Factors. In October, anyone can be a hero. Let's go to the board and give one player we think could be an X Factor come playoff time. Ethan, you're up.
All right. So my pick is a trade deadline player from the Phillies. I got Harrison Bader, who, since getting traded to the Phillies, he's been hitting .329, 16 RBIs, 5 home runs, which is just absolutely insane. Obviously, a huge criticism for the Phillies all season has been their outfield. He is a huge boost to that outfield. He didn't play like he was going in and out when he first got in, but he's doing very well now. And I do want to point out, since Trey Turner got injured and they moved him to the number 1 in the batting order, he's been hitting .345. And I don't have the exact numbers for RBIs and home runs, but he is just doing what he needs to do for the Phillies right now. And that extends to the rest of the outfield for the Phillies. Arguably one of the worst outfields in the league this year. As I don't want to say one of the best, but it's become like so much more improved. Kepler's finally doing something. Castellanos understands his role. Marsh has been doing good for a while, but I think that's what the Phillies need to go into a deep playoff run. They can't always just rely on Schwarber hitting a home run. They can't rely on their pitchers just pitching like one-run games anymore, especially with Zach Wheeler out. The outfield needs to step up, and it has as of recently, and I believe it'll continue to do that into the playoffs.
I love Harrison Bader so much. Like, he was a Yankee for a very short time, but it was a very magical short time. I'll never forget the 2022 division series against Cleveland. I think he hit 4 home runs in the 5 games. And it was electric. It was an electric week. We don't talk about what happened after that.
Yeah, I've been absolutely loving Harrison Bader too as a Phillies fan. Also, he stepped up in every single role they've put him in so far, and what a gift he has been.
And I do want to point out that, like, the 16 RBIs, those have been very meaningful RBIs, I think. Like, they have been near the end of the games, or, like, Phillies are getting, like, no hit or something like that, and he just cranks one to, like, up the score. They've been very meaningful. I forgot to say that up there. So, like, just an overall great player for the Phillies so far.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to Brady.
All right. So speaking of Phillies, speaking of Zach Wheeler being out, my playoff X factor is the new ace, Christopher Sanchez. Now, he has to step up into Zach Wheeler's role because they have already announced that he will be the game one starter for the playoffs. Last year, he threw 5 innings, a 2-run ball, but he needs to be a little bit better in the postseason because Zach Wheeler, you usually get 6 or 7 shutout innings from him during the postseason. he is one of the best postseason pitchers in baseball. So you throw in Christopher Sanchez, who now has to go in to that role and step into a pitcher like Zach Wheeler's spot, and he will definitely determine how far the Phillies will go into the postseason, which is hopefully all the way.
Yeah, I love that. It's just so terrible for the Phillies. I'm a Phillies fan too. It's terrible for them to see Zach Wheeler get injured like that, especially like right in the middle of, I think the overall consensus was him passing Skeens in the Cy Young race. And he just goes down like that at a time where, even though the Phillies like have an established very good starting rotation, it's been a little shaky at that point, especially with like someone like Luzardo, who could either give up no runs or 8. And I just think he needs to step up and be that ace. Luzardo, I just mentioned, Ranger, even Nola, as of recently, have cleaned their games up a little bit. They're not like as good as they were, but they've cleaned it up from giving a ton of runs every game. If Sanchez can clean up his act and be the ace for the Phillies, that'll be huge for them.
Yeah, and Sanchez, I wholeheartly believe he can step into that role.
Oh, 100%.
He's been phenomenal this year. He probably had the Cy Young, but Paul Skeens is in the National League. That dude is just not real. And yeah, Christopher Sanchez, he's going to be huge for the Phillies come October.
Absolutely. We'll talk more about him later, but for now,
right.
Jacob.
So I'm going to be a little more mainstream here and talk about my guy, Aaron Judge, the captain, number 99. When the Yankees go, he goes. It's very simple in the postseason. Last 3 extended postseason runs, we're not counting 2021 because that was a 1-game wild card that we do not talk about ever. 133 batting average in 2020. I believe it was 136 in 2022 and 184 last year. Just absolutely atrocious numbers in the postseason. He has to be better if he is going to deliver on the promise that he has made for the last 8 years and give Yankees fans ring number 28. And I think potential blessing in disguise, maybe the Yankees not winning the American League East this year. I don't think, unless the Blue Jays massively collapse. I also believe that the Yankees not getting the bye should be very beneficial to Aaron Judge, might keep him hot. We don't know. We'll have to see. We'll find the answer to that next week.
Yeah, I mean, very simple pick, but very obvious. You mentioned his past playoff experiences. Like, the Yankees move with that guy. I'm not going to spark up the MVP debate right now, but, candidate, he just needs to step up in the playoffs, and that's it. Like, Yankees can go far when he goes far, just like you said.
And I said this during my check. I do think that Aaron Judge is the best hitter in the MLB, and he definitely does need to figure out how to take his hitting in the regular season and push it into October. And I think the Yankees could definitely fly right through if he figures that out.
Absolutely.
I really like what you said about the first round bye. I think that's a little bit of a trap, especially for a guy like him that when he's hot, he's hot. Like they need to stay hot. They can't have that break. And that's going to be huge for the Yankees if they don't get that bye, which sounds backwards. But
all right. Well, it's enough Aaron Judge for me. Moving on. All right, my pick is a little bit of a technicality, but I picked the entire Mariners pitching staff because if the Mariners pitching staff does not step up in these playoffs, the Mariners will not go far. This has been an anomaly year for the Mariners in that their offense has been pretty solid, but the pitching staff has struggled a little bit. So got good players like Wu, Gilbert, Munoz. I have absolute faith that they will be able to step up in the playoffs, but it comes down to players like Luis Castillo to see will he be able to step up into a starting position in the playoffs, or will a player like Kirby take his spot? And then for relievers, you need Brash to step up big time, Spire. These are all players that need to contribute for the Mariners to potentially win the World Series or even make the World Series finals for the first time. So, for my pick, definitely the Mariners pitching staff needs to step up big time.
Yeah, and obviously it's a great point. The postseason being such a pitcher heavy, you ride or die with the pitching. Obviously, we were talking about Kershaw earlier in the show. You look at his the last postseason outing he made was against the Diamondbacks in 2023, 6 runs in a third of an inning, and he's been generally unproductive throughout his career. And it's cost the Dodgers championship runs. But yeah, the Mariners, and I really think the Mariners have the spark and the talent to win the American League this season. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to watch that unfold.
I also like them because the American League is definitely weaker than the National League overall.
Right.
So the Mariners will have an easier time probably going through everybody. And I'm rooting for them to go out the NL. Not the NL.
All right.
Yeah, I think that all the teams in the AL right now, they're all obviously good, but I think that's really just going to come to who's the most hot right now. Yeah. And the teams that aren't necessarily hot, not saying the Mariners aren't, but who can weather that storm. And I think the Mariners very well could do it. And like you said, that's the team that I'd be rooting for from the AL.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. We're going to go to the Cy Young debate. Alongside with the MVP debates this year, the Cy Young competition is just as fierce, with Tarek Skubal and Garrett Crochet dueling in the AL and Paul Skeens competing with Christopher Sanchez in the NL. Who should take home the award in each league? We're going to start with the NL. I think we're all on the same page with this.
It's Skeens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Skeens for the last two years, ever since he got drafted first overall in 2023, he has lived probably the best life, I think, of anybody. I mean, his ERA, he's got a career ERA of 2 on the nose. That is the lowest of any starting pitcher with at least 300 career innings and 25 starts. He's got Rookie of the Year. He's started an All-Star game. He's drafted first overall. He pitches in one of the most beautiful ballparks in the major leagues. He's dating Livy Dunn. I mean, come on. Come on. I just had to. One of the him and Shohei Ohtani have been living the life for.
So the only thing that he isn't living the life in is the team that he's actually on, and that's the one thing that Sanchez has against him. It's not enough.
No.
I usually want to say, in my opinion, it's not enough, but I feel like we can all agree it's just not enough.
I mean,
Skeens is going to win.
15 to 20 years ago, you look at a pitcher who's got 10 wins, and the writers would be like, no, that's not a Cy Young Award winning candidate. But fortunately, I think we've moved away from that as a community and are starting to value the actual pitching stats less and wins as more of a team stat.
Yeah, he's got a 2.03 ERA this year, and he has 10 losses. Please get that man out of Pittsburgh as soon as possible.
How about in the Yankees pinstripes? I think that would be a good. I think that would be a good fit for him.
How about in pinstripes that are red instead?
I don't know.
How about that?
All right.
I like our pitching stats.
Moving on to the AL, Skubal or Crochet. Let's go with some just quick picks.
I'm going to go Skubal. Crochet's got more strikeouts, but Skubal's got the better ERA by almost half a run now at this point, 2.23 to 2.69. Skubal's also under he's under 1 for walks hits per inning at 0.88. And he's the only thing keeping the Tigers together right now throughout their collapse.
Yeah, I have the same thing. You actually brought the same stats that I was going to bring up. I just it's very close, and it could turn in these last 6 games or however many some of these teams have left. But right now, I'm giving it to Skubal. But it's very close. He could very well choke it, just like the Tigers may well choke the division. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm also going Skubal, and he pitches tonight, right?
Yes.
Against the Guardians, yeah. So he could definitely blow it against a Guardians team that is very hungry to beat the Tigers and take control of the division. But I don't see him blowing it. And he does lead Crochet in everything except strikeouts and wins. So I'm going to go with Tarek Skubal.
Yeah. I wish I could play devil's advocate, but I'm not going to. I think it's definitely Skubal. He's proven himself this year, even though Tigers have fallen off a little bit. Yeah. But he's still, in my mind, easy Cy Young.
Yeah.
And then we're going to wrap up just by talking about some of our favorite prospects or young players that we think are just on the rise in the MLB.
I'm gonna keep it in the Bronx. Got to shout out Cam Schlittler and Ben Rice, the Yankees. Now, the Yankees farm system has made so many mistakes over the last decade that I could spend the entire show just listing names. I'm not even talking about them, just listing names, and we'd run out of time. But you look at Cam Schlittler, who's got a 3.27 ERA. He's having a fantastic season. Yankees have won 6 out of his last 7 starts. He's fighting Luis Gil for the third spot in the Yankees playoff rotation. I think it's ultimately going to be Gil just because of the experience, but Schlittler's making a great case. Just had a fine start Sunday in Baltimore. And then Ben Rice, 822 OPS, 24 homers in 133 games this year. He's taken a big leap from last year when he hit a $171. And obviously, he's been fun to watch and delivering from a catching position that Austin Wells is kind of disappointed at this season. And it was huge to watch him make that transition due to some of the other defensive maneuvering the Yankees have had to do, with Giancarlo Stanton being out for a while and Aaron Judge having to play DH for a time. And it's having Rice with that flexibility, catcher first, DH, you name it. It's been a blast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have as much as that, I'm going to be honest. I was just looking up some young players and some like enjoyable players. I got to give some love to the A's after all that they've been through recently.
Yeah.
Jacob Wilson, Nick Kurtz, like those guys are both doing amazing right now. Jacob Wilson hitting 315. I forget what that is. That might be either second or third. I should have wrote that down. Nick Kurtz, 291, which would be top 15 in the league if he had enough at-bats. I'm not going to go on for as long, but just wanted to give whichever A's fans are watching some love.
Yeah, I got a young player that's currently been in the MLB the entire year, and then a young prospect that is in the Phillies farm system. First, we're going to go to Atlanta. Drake Baldwin. He has been one of the very few bright spots in a very dim year for the Atlanta Braves, hitting 275, 806 OPS in 119 games. He's got 18 home runs, 78 RBIs. He is a legit NL Rookie of the Year candidate for Atlanta. And they just keep finding young guys from their farm system that produce in the MLB. So I really don't like the Atlanta Braves, but props to them for always finding these guys. And then next, in the Phillies farm system, he could make an impact next year. I have Aiden Miller. He was drafted 27th overall in 2023. He's a Phillies number 2 prospect. We thought he might be dealt away at the trade deadline because it wasn't going too well in Double-A, but since the trade deadline, he has hit 356 with 6 home runs and 1,100 OPS between Double and Triple-A. And did I mention he has a ton of speed, 59 stolen bases, and so far in 8 career games in AAA, he has 7 stolen bases. So he has absolutely risen up to the top of not only the Phillies farm system, but the MLB top prospects list.
Yeah. All right. That seems to be all the time we have for today's baseball show. With me, Ethan, Jacob, and Brady. Make sure you check out tomorrow's hockey show. And thanks so much for tuning in.